No. Yes. Okay. Now it should be okay. Look, is okay. Okay. Now loading. Hopefully, yes. Okay. Let's go ahead. Sorry. Still, technology is not supporting us enough. So we're talking about a real-time database. So here in the middle of this picture, you see a database which is called the real-time. But what's the idea which is behind the general architecture of Premium? So here you see communication. So this is the field. The field means from where Premium HMI runtime is getting the information that later the information is used for many features of the HMI of the SCADA. So the communication protocols are reading data from external devices, client server, scenarios, OPC, PLC. So the field information comes to what we call the real-time database. This is the real-time because it does not have historical capabilities. So data is there, available, and after that, data is, let's say, is read from all the modules that needs to get access to the data. So the alarm management, it's not going directly to the communication, but it goes to the real-time database, and this is the same for all the others. So actually, the number of bytes we have seen before related to the license, basically you can see them as the size of this communication channel with the field. So information are coming to the real time, and then from the real time database, information are shared with screens, alarm management, recipe and data logger. So the recipe data logger modules is the one which is getting data from real time and archiving data somewhere. So that's, for instance, the same for the alarm management. Alarm are read from the real-time database, and if you want to make an history, they are logged into the historical database. So the message is everything goes around a real-time database, and the real-time database is maintained, updated by basically the communication protocols reading information from the field. Which features are, let's say, supported, or maybe what's nice to know that we have in Premium HMI? Now we will go quickly through the list of highlights, and for some of them later we will see the demonstration. So first of all, I will also take the occasion, like in this slide, to tell you about, let's say, nice features of the system. In this case, we are talking about openness. What is openness? Basically, compatibility and with other and different systems. Just to give you an idea, the Premium HMI project is completely based on XML format. So if you see, if you make a project with the Premium HMI Studio, all the project files are stored in a folder on your PC disk, and those files are text files, XML files, human readable files. That makes it very easy to manage projects, even when you need to make a debug, for instance. We are supporting standard Ethernet connectivity, so okay, TCP, UDP, HTTP. We have standard support for ODBC, so we can connect to external databases. This is true only for the Windows runtime. From the Windows CE devices, we cannot connect to external databases. We can only work with databases installed on the HMI. We have a shared memory driver to share for data exchange with the third-party software. So external software can read data from a Premium HMI using what we call the shared memory driver. And we finally support OPC. OPC in this case only client, so we are not server, we are just OPC client, DA, and the latest unified automation, unified architecture. So OPC UA is available, but only client. It's available on all the devices, so Windows CE and Windows, but only as a client, not as a server. The programming environment we will see later, so I will not say much about the programming environment here, but basically it's what everybody is expecting from a programming environment. So customizable, we have the cross-reference, we have a debugger, we can connect it to a running project to see what is not working. We have many things that some of them we will see later, and let's say all of them are helping you to make the project in the fastest possible way. Cross-platform and scalability, I have already mentioned this when I told you we have a runtime for Windows CE and runtime for Windows. So as I said, the same project can be really run on different platforms without any change. And there's another nice feature talking about cross-platform and scalability, which is the automatic screen adaptation. So if you make a project for a, let's say, 10-inch display, the project will automatically adapt to for instance, a higher or smaller display resolution without quality loss, and automatically. So that's a possibility if you are making a project for a small display and the customer is asking for a bigger one for a different machine. You don't need to touch anything on the project. It will run exactly the same by automatically scaling all the objects to the higher resolution. This will, of course, will work up and down, so even with a smaller resolution. But okay, this just says that we have vector graphic HMI objects. So there's a library of objects from where you can get the ones you need for your application. They are made using XAML standard technology, and they will help you to design, let's say, nice applications, also from the, let's say, aesthetical point of view. Together with the HMI symbols, so together with the HMI objects, we also have a rich symbol library. So you see some. Ciao Siri. Okay. And then we have a lot of industrial symbols, all of them vector, so you can use them to, let's say, improve the graphic quality of your project, and then you can also interact with them. You can customize the symbols because you can modify them. You bring them from the library, you take them into the project, you change, and then you can also save back to a library after you have made your customization. You can also link some Visual Basic code to the symbols. That's advanced the programming, but for the moment it's enough, you know, there's a library of symbols and all of them are customizable. Okay, that's obvious. communication protocol. So we have very busy, and which is positive. We are very busy to support in Premium HMI all the different communication protocols to connect with the different controllers. That's, let's say, obvious for an HMI, because next to the graphic, the protocols are probably the most important components, because an HMI must read data, so without protocols we don't read nothing. And we are constantly improving them and developing also additional protocols in case of special needs which cannot be satisfied by the list of drivers we have. This is something that normally goes, let's say, in the middle between a technical and commercial. So if there's the opportunity to get some nice, important, very big customer or very big projects, and we needed to develop something for them, then that's something to discuss with Luke. So it may be an opportunity to get some customers. Data logging. So in Premium HMI, we have the possibility to record, to store data. This we will see later, but it's important to know we have, let's say, two possibilities in Premium HMI to make to store data. One is called IMDb, which is in-memory database, so basically a text file, very simple, very easy, very fast. The other one is ODBC, so possibility to store data into relational databases. And from this point of view, the important information you have to remember from this slide is that we can support relational databases, SQL Server, SQL Server Compact on Windows CE. So that's already standard. If you buy an HMI 40, already you will get a small pre-installed, already installed in the panel. You have a database server, SQL Windows CE Compact, which brings you the possibility to store data, quite a big amount of data, even on a small HMI. This is something that, in general, it's not common to be found. So a small HMI normally is storing data in text files. In case of Premium, and in case of our systems, we can offer the possibility to store data in a relational database, even on Windows CE based embedded devices, so cheap device, low cost devices. And that's nice because you can, let's say, you can benefit from this in terms of reliability and security of the data you store on, even when using a standard, a small, low-cost panel. Okay, alarms handling, nothing special to say. We have a complete manager of alarms, including what is called alarm dispatcher, so we can send SMS and emails to notify an alarm event. For instance, if you wanted to make a small exercise, the notification feature is subject to license. Let me go back to the slide with the licenses. You should see here alarm notification via email and SMS. In case of a Windows CE unit, is supported by the advanced license, for instance. So if you need to notify upon an alarm verification, or upon an alarm, then you need the advanced license. Okay, let me go back to my slide. Okay, so I was telling about the notification, email, SMS. By the way, it may be interesting to know, SMS can be sent if you connect to the unit standard GSM modem using the serial interface. So that's the classic way. But SMS can be also sent using the Internet Gateway Protocol. So you may, maybe you have heard about this. There's a possibility to use Internet gateways. So there are some services you can buy from, let's say, provider. And so you don't really need the modem to send an SMS. But with Premium HMI, you can configure the system to use an Internet gateway to send an SMS. Of course, those are services you have to buy from external providers. But okay, probably now we have a problem. No, okay. The question, sorry. Look at the internal model. Yes, okay. And we are also working to support the possibility to send SMS from the internal modem we have as an option in the HMI 40. It will be probably not available in the really first version, but later we will also support this. So the modem, just to complete the answer to the question, if you buy the modem option for the HMI 40, at the beginning we will support the use of the modem for internet connectivity. You have Ubiquiti, and then the internal modem will provide the internet connectivity so Ubiquiti can work. Immediately after, probably not in the first version as I said, but immediately after, we will also support the possibility to use the internal modem for both internet connectivity and SMS or email sending from Premium HMI. Okay, yes, I gave, okay, I answered. At the beginning only for internet, then after this, in the next release, also for the SMS. Okay, that's another nice feature of Premium HMI, which it's not often available, or you cannot really find every time, and it's a report and printing. Not really for, let's say, printing to a printer. It will work also the direct print to a printer device, but the nice is that you can build up a report with header, footer, let's say specific custom layouts of all the data, and then you can print this to a PDF document, and later bring the PDF and print on any other on any printer. I'm telling this because especially on the Windows CE devices, we have not many supported printers that you can directly connect to the panel. But still, you can benefit from the reports because you can design the report, as I said before, with some headers, some footers, some nice layouts of the contents, and then you can print on a PDF and later bring the PDF to a different device and print on any, let's say, on any printer which is maybe not connected to the panel. Networking. In Premium HMI, we have the possibility to support very easily the data exchange between the devices. So there are several nice scenarios. We don't have the time in this presentation to talk about all of them, but basically what you should remember is that once you have a panel, any panel, an HMI, low cost, or even let's say high-end HMI, then any data which is available to that HMI can be very easily shared with any other device running a premium. And there are some nice scenarios, for instance, in which you can have a line supervisor running a premium HMI project, which is making the acknowledge of an alarm reported by this device. So not only PLC data can easily shared, but also other information like alarms. So you can acknowledge an alarm from another unit, and you can centralize, for instance, the historical log in a single device. So that's, let's say, nice when you have distributed installations, but still you want to concentrate the managing of sensitive information like historical alarm list. Okay, that's advanced stuff, but we will probably, need much more time to cover the technical aspects of this. What I just want to say is that data can be easily shared across any device which is running a premium HMI. Okay. Security. That's another important feature which is not common to be found in HMI low-cost devices. When I'm talking about low cost, I'm talking about normally Windows CE, so the HMI 25, HMI 30, even HMI 40, let's say, is still in the embedded HMI category. So security and tracing means that in premium HMI, you have all the tools needed to build up, if you know how to use them, but of course there's a manual and there's a document that explains how, but if you know how, then with premium HMI, you can build up an application which can be fully, completely certified according to the FDA 21 CFR Part 11 regulations from US. So, in other words, this means that you can easily trace what people are doing with your system. So, who changed which value of a variable let's say, of a set point, who changed that set point from which value to which other value and when. So there are several tools in premium HMI needed to build up applications with tracing capabilities, which are very important when you have to build up applications in the pharmaceutical or food industry. Of course, as many information you need to trace, as bigger systems you need. In an HMI 30, okay, you can trace, but you cannot trace thousands of tags changes. So maybe only a few, but still goes in the concept of scalability. You can build up a small application which is doing tracing for the HMI. As soon as you realize, or as soon as you have a bigger application, exactly the same project can be enlarged and you can get it running on a Windows-based PC where you have more computation power, so you can trace more data. Still completely reusing what has been done before, just improving and enlarging. That's part of the general scalability and portability concept we have in premium HMI and the different hardware. Okay. Scripting, it's, let's say, the way out to every problem. In other words, in Premium HMI, we have really plenty of built-in features. We have many properties for every object, for every function, but the experience says that you can have tons of features, but always one is missing. So the message is, even if there are still many features in Premium HMI, but if you really need something special, you need to add to the HMI application some business logic, some specific behavior, then you always have available Visual Basic for application scripting. That's very powerful. You have an integrated editor for Visual Basic. You have a very powerful Visual Basic interpreter already available and built in the system. And the idea is that if anything you need is missing, you can still build up with using a Visual Basic and then get it running on, again, because of the cross compatibility, on a Windows C unit, but also on the PC. Scripting maybe it could be a little different when you do on Windows C and on Windows. In this case, it would be very easy to go from Windows C to Windows because Windows has a super set of features. If you have made a lot of scripting on Windows, you want to go on a smaller unit, probably you have to be careful. Maybe you have to change something, but the idea is still you can reuse it, most of what you have developed. Nice that we are supporting multi-threading, so even on small units, you can run scripts on different threads to ensure the system is not blocked upon the execution of a certain, let's say, procedure or piece of code. Okay, multiple languages quite obvious. I just wanted to tell you we are supporting UTF-16, so we have the complete full support for any language, including Asian, Arabic, Far East languages, even on the HMI, even on the HMI 30 or HMI 40. There's a special tool in the control panel of those units which allows you to easily install the font you need to build up your Far East compatible application. Japanese or Korean or Chinese character set can be very easily installed even on a Windows C unit. So all those devices are fully suitable to build up application for the Far East market. There's no limit in the number of languages you can use. You can build up a project with as many languages as you want, depending just on the space you have available on the panel, and then you can switch them at runtime. You can build up a page for switching languages, very easy. You can also link a language to a user, so upon user change, you also get a consequent language change on the project, and well, that's it. Just to let you know, probably, I don't know if you have realized, but when Luke explained about the hardware, you have seen we have really a lot of space, even on a small unit. So there are 4 GB flash disk on the panels, and most of that space is available for the project. So really, even on a, let's say, low-cost unit, there's really a lot of space to host very big projects. Yeah, of course, you always have to let's say, to trade off with the performances. So biggest projects, the big project runs slower than small project. So, but here again we have the concept of scalability. As soon as you realize a project runs slowly on an HMI 40, or maybe you can go up with the hardware, getting better performances. Okay, this we have already spoke about, remote access. We have, I told you already, we have clients. It can be an iOS app, it can be an Android app, it can be a browser, to get an access from remote to the application running on the runtime, on the device, on the field. Okay, that's it for what concerns the highlights. And now we can switch to the software. We can make together our first HMI project with the Premium HMI Studio. We can get it running. I mean, I will do something very easy, but at least you get an idea of what means to program with the Premium HMI. Arabic font by default. Yes, we should have it. Even for the Windows C, but I'm not 100% sure. We should have it. I have to double check. For sure, we have Japanese, Chinese pre-installed. I have to check for the Arabic. But if it is not there, it's a matter of adding the font to the units. There's a simple procedure, and doesn't explain it in the manual. Okay, so let's go ahead with the Premium HMI and let's make our first project. So, I mean, it's not needed now that you do it the same. I mean, you just need to follow me. Of course, if you have any question or if you need any clarification, as you are doing, just use the chat so I can see the question and I can explain. So let's make a file new. Okay, this is the Premium HMI Studio as I have downloaded from the web. So my version is exactly the one downloaded from the website. You have in Premium HMI, let's say 5 different languages. Now I'm running in English. Then you have, of course, Italian, German, and Spanish, with the complete help available and translated. We will check later. We will talk maybe later about the help. So make a file new. We make a new project. New project starts with a wizard. So there's a little help to create the project. Beginning, you are asked to say which is the platform on which you are going to run your project. Well, that's just an initial. But at any time, you can go back to the project properties and change the platform. It will be just one click to make the project compatible with a different platform. Nothing will actually change. It's just a setting. Maybe some features, really very small number of features are not really supported in the Windows C. If you click here Windows C at the beginning, you are sure you are not using a feature not supported. Only a number, I said, because of the cross compatibility. But it's a nice practice to select the right platform at the beginning. So, sorry, some water. After that, you just have to give a name. let's say, test, if you decide, okay, where to store the project. Yeah. Test. Okay, nice. Here we have a folder name, and in folder name we store our project. License. Okay, because I started with the Windows CE, here I have to decide if I have an advanced or basic. Even for the license, you can change anytime. Just because if you select advanced, then you will be able to program the features available on the advanced. For instance, alarm and notification, as we have seen before. So, okay, overwrite the project. And here with the wizard, there are the other settings. For the moment, we will go ahead. We will go through them very quickly. We don't need actually now. Here there's the controller selection. So I can show you a connection with the PLC. Just it's easy for me to show how to import variables from Codesys PLC rather than another one. But as you see here, the list of communication protocols supported is quite long. You have a lot of Siemens protocols. You have Omron, Ethernet IP, FINS serial. You have, of course, the standard Modbus protocols. On the website and also on the price list, there's a complete list of supported drivers. For this whole demo, we go with the Codesys. Wizard, you can say, well, okay, build up for me a certain number of screens. So we have already them ready, our testing. Okay, I can define the default screen size. In this case, for instance, 800, 480. It's the size of the 7-inch displays. Okay. And in the wizard, I can also predefine some data loggers. Don't need them because we will create them manually. So you will see how to do. Also, I don't want alarms because same for the data loggers. I will create them manually. Show you how to create an alarm. Okay. Now, because we have selected the Codesys, the system is asking me to configure the Codesys driver. So click on stations, and you have one station. What is a station? Station is actually the PLC. I have one HMI plus one or more controllers. In this case, one or more Codesys controllers. In our example, we have just one, so we have just one station. I can rename the station. I can give a different name. And when I go in, I'm asked to specify the IP address of my controller. So my controller, in this case a Codesys controller, is running on a virtual machine. Okay, the soft PLC. Just need to, okay, let me stop and start the PLC. Soft PLC running on this virtual machine. And the virtual machine is reachable at this IP, so 192.168.154.132 is the IP address of the virtual machine running the Codesys controller. Okay. So here I have to put 192.168.154.132. I have also to give other information, which is PLC name, and for me it's Codesys, and that's it. Okay. Now, the system is asking me to import tags, and this is what we will do in a second. So for the moment, I will say no, because I would like to show you how a project, basically how an empty project looks. So we have our, let's say, are calling this project resources tree. We have a real-time database. The picture from the presentation. That's the reason, because I wanted to show you that picture, because everything goes around the concept of having a real-time database populated by the drivers. And in fact, here we have a Codesys driver, just the one we have just configured. By the way, if I click, I'm just back to the same window from where we have done the station setup. You can also do a test connection. Let's see if the connection with the yes, with the PLC works. Succeeded. Nice. Because the PLC is running, as I said, in the machine, so we can minimize and keep it running there. Now we are going to import the tags. As I said, okay, we have made the configuration of the PLC, and now we would like to import some information from the PLC. So if you click on the Codesys, right-click, import, then you get this dialog, which is available for all the drivers. Now we are working with Codesys, but you could do this with the Siemens controller as well. And here you have a nice possibility to import tags directly from the PLC. So the PLC is running. As you have seen, PLC is running in my virtual machine with some project. I could go there and see what is in the PLC, but that's out of scope now. I would like just to import from PLC, so I'm click once on this button, and in a few seconds, yes, I'm getting directly from the PLC memory which variables are there. So now I can select, I can see, well, all, or maybe some of them. I can filter, I can say I just want variable where it is increase, or maybe some balance. So let's say now I want all of them. Select all, import. The procedure you normally have to do by getting variables, tags, into the HMI in the print project. So now we have PLC setup done, variables imported done. Now it's the time to go to screens. So here, just have to navigate my tree, and in between the project resources, I have also the screens. If you remember, while I was doing with the wizard, in a certain moment I wrote, yeah, please create for me 10 screens. So now I can double click on one of them. Those are the screens automatically created by the wizard. Of course, when I wanted to make a new one, I just have to go to screen, right click, add a new screen, then I get a name, and I get a new page. Let's use the ones automatically generated. Now the screen has a standard layout, so all of them look the same. So I have an header, the project, the screen. I can double click. I can change the text. For me, this could be the main page. Okay, main page. Perfect. An empty screen, empty space where I can start my objects. And here at the bottom, I have some buttons to automatically built by the wizard to change page. Of course, if I wanted to add a new button, then I will have to edit this buttons bar, and I will show you later how to do. For the moment, let's keep the things. So main page, screen 1, okay. Now we want to put on the page some elements. So we have a toolbox here on the right. You still see and hear me? Everything okay? Just I need some feedback. Oh, good. So there's the to with the nobody. Okay, so toolbox is the place from where you get the HMI objects. In the presentation, you have seen, I told you we have different controls. In the toolbox shows them organized. Basic shapes. Here you have so if you want to make a text on the page, just drag and drop, double click, then there's a static text. And then you can copy it, because maybe now we would like to make on the screen, I don't know, the temperature. To visualize, to display on the page the value of one of the variables coming from the PLC. So I need for this the edit box display. Just drag and drop the edit box on the page. And then from the list, I could easily, for instance, take the temperature, drag and drop over the field. Click on the field. The properties here are, of course, the ones belonging to the object, to the selected object. In this case, for me, it was very easy to take new and just make a drag and drop. Actually, what I've done is basically to set up an object property. Properties of any object in Premium HMI are organized in different categories. So most commonly used properties of any object are at the top, the properties pane. So here, if you have a numeric field, if you have an edit box display, what's the most common property you want for this? The property for the variable to display. So actually, that's where you can configure variable has to be visible in that field. I did it with drag and drop, but take another one now. Let's say the standard way method is you can go there, you can click on the right side of the property column. You get in this case a list of all the variables, and then you can select which you want. So that's the that way of selecting. Of course, there are other objects. So let's go a moment. Okay, no. Okay, this was. If you stay for a moment over the object, you get a tooltip that tells you which is the object name and which variable has been linked to this object. So now I'm going to make a copy-paste this text, and I would like to write here increase variable. because this variable is the one which is increasing in PLC. By the way, because I know how the PLC project is made, to start moving, let's say, incrementing this variable, I also need to make an input to the PLC program. So there is a variable called Italian abilita simulazione, means enable simulation, and that's a bit. You see here, 0 means the variable has a bit data format. Temperature was a float. If you click, you can see the data type on the small icon, but you can also check everything about the variable in the property pane, which is showing in this moment the properties of that variable. So for instance, you see here temperature is a float, 32-bit single precision. If I click on var increase, you see that's a sine word, 16-bit with sine. One is a Boolean. So what I want to do now is to make a push button on the screen to toggle 0 and 1 for this bit to start and stop simulation, the counting of the variable. So I'm going to the toolbox. I'm looking for push buttons, and push buttons are in this category. You have several different types of buttons. This is a standard one. Windows style, old Windows, let's say, vintage button. I have something better here below. I can say, I don't know, maybe this is a round XML button, or let's say different style. But let's keep with, for instance, the round button. And what I wanted to do is to toggle. So I take the bit in a drag and drop. This button you see here on the right, by default, has on-off behavior, so say toggle. And when I've done the drag and drop, automatically the variable has been assigned the common state variable property, the property where you have to specify the variable controlled. Okay, now let's say it's time to see if the project works. So I wanted to make a test of the project because I'm not sure all the information, all the programming I've made has been properly done. So here I have the possibility to start the project by using the internal integrated premium manipulator. There's a runtime which is working, which is available to test the application. And the test will be a real one. So the communication will really work, connect the controller. Let me start it, say the change. Okay. Now we will be able, by a moment, it's on the screen, so I have to bring in. Okay. So, let's see what we have. The runtime now has started, and the communication with the controller, actually, it's working. Because you see this LED, the green LED blinking in the status bar, says communication with the connected PLC is working. There's a possibility to add some other diagnostic information, but for the moment, let's say the LED is enough. If I press this button, well, okay, the simulation starts. Okay, so far so good. What happened? I can show you. If I go to the virtual machine, where the Codesys controller is running, to the programming environment of Codesys, and if I connect the local Codesys C, assuming I've made, sorry, I have to go to device, network connected to the local runtime and online login. Okay, so now I'm basically connected to the PLC. And if I go to the PLC project, you see this bit, abilita simulazione, which means enable simulation. It's the one controlled by the software here. By the way, what I told you about the scaling, you remember I told you, well, you can build up a project for a small unit, or then you can use it on a bigger unit. That's exactly what happens. You see how Premium HMI is able to automatically scale any object which is included in the page. I built the project for, at the beginning, 800 by 480. It was just the original size. If you download, if you transfer this project, on any, on a bigger or smaller display, automatically Premium will adapt the graphic information accordingly. So you cannot go from a very small file, 4.3 inch, to a, let's say, to a full HD. Because probably the project will be too big, or maybe will be too small in one side, too big on the other side. But the idea is that it can be everything scaled automatically. Okay. By the way, here on the right, you have a set of different tools. This one is very easy, very nice. Let's say I would like to control this bit from the watch window. So I could insert in the watch window any of the variable. In this case it was abilita. I can include the variable in my watch list. Then I can double click here, and I can force. In this case, the forcing works because nothing in the PLC is writing back. But the idea is that you can see, you can monitor, you can watch values, and if they are not forced by the PLC, you can also write them, even if they are not included in the project page. This is done by the, let's say, the watch window. There are some other stuff here. Maybe we will see them later, depending on what we need. There's another nice one. Let me see if I can show you. If I click on locals, then you have a list of objects included in the page. Then if you click on the object and see which variable is there. So I can click on the page, see here which object is that one. So that's a button, and to this button you have this variable linked. I can click on this text. You can see it's okay. It's a rectangle text. I can click on this button and see this button does nothing because actually there's nothing attached. So when I told you in the presentation we have debug tools, I was just telling we have this kind of things that helps you to understand the project doesn't do what you expect. Okay, so let's to our design studio. Okay, I will keep this running. Okay, let me go ahead and show you some other stuff. For instance, now we have mainly spoke about, let's say, very easy stuff, very interaction. There's a numeric field, there's a button, okay, there's a static text. Let me show you, for instance, one information about one let's say, yes, one feature about animation. Okay, let me, for instance, I will take a angle. Would like to, for instance, to make a movement or to change a property, but let's make a movement. It's just to show you something. You can make a movement of an object on the screen by attaching a variable to the position property of the object. So if you go to the properties here, for instance, you have dynamics. Pardon, was looking for the Italian. Into the dynamics category, you have all what can be adjusted at runtime regarding the selected object. So, for instance, you have a visibility. You get a visibility property to a variable, so you can switch visibility on and off depending on the value of the tag. I wanted to show you something, well, nice, which is, for instance, the composed movement. What's composed movement? Okay, let's say it's I move the object on a path. So, first of all, enable, and I will need to link here a variable, because based on the variable value, I move the object according. So let's still use the increase variable. So I'm clicking on the right side of the column, and I'm selecting again the increase. I don't remember which is this value, but okay, let's say 0, 100. And now, edit path, that's nice because I can move the object, let's say, for instance, from here to there. I can add some points. So I can draw a path on the screen according to the value of this variable. Okay, the object will move. Now the edit path is closed. You see here some let's say handles. This will just tell this rectangle has some dynamic properties. Let me go again back to runtime, so we will see how it works. Now it's already at the end because the variable is 120, but I start 0, and if I start the action, you see the rectangle slowly moving because of animation that we have built. Now it's I can force a little bit, I can write, and as soon as the variable increases, the object moves on the screen. Okay, this was just also some, let's say, scenic demonstration, but next to the movement, there are also some other things like, if I take this text, and this text was at the beginning when I included, it was a static text. For instance, you can dynamic. So you can change the text, automatic, manual, maintenance, for instance, according to the value of a status variable, which is telling, which is the machine status, for instance. And okay, there are many different animations possible. Now, I would like to use the last minutes I have available to show you, for instance, how to build up an alarms and how to build up maybe a data logger, just to give you some concepts, some, let's say, standard mechanism that you should learn to build up basically any project. So, for instance, if I go into the alarms resources, that's empty now, but I can right-click and add a new alarm. An alarm in Premium works with the concept of threshold. What's a threshold? Okay, if you have a digital alarm, well, threshold means 0, 1. So you get the alarm, the PLC variable goes from 0 to 1. But you can also think, for instance, to attach the alarm to an analog value. Maybe the analog value is it's binded, or maybe the analog value says about the level of tank. So if the tank level goes above a certain limit, then you get an alarm. So you have a possibility to use standard digital alarms 0, 1, but even analog alarms when you want to monitor the value of a variable and says is above a certain limit, something will happen. So now let's do the simple one. Let's call the threshold on. When I click on the alarm name, here the possibility to say which is the variable linked to this alarm. And the PLC program already provides me some bits, the alarms 01, 02. As you can say, I would like to see all the text, alarm, all the text showing, alarm, oops. Alarm, okay. So I have to say start, okay. So it's the filtering with the wildcards. Then you can filter according to the filter name. So you can get a reduced list of your variables and say, okay, for me it's alarm 1. Now on the threshold, you can specify so this is motor 1 fault. That's the text. Alarm 1. Okay, then you can make a second. You can go to the resource tree, copy paste, so Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. You can get the second alarm. Second alarm, in this case, would be attached to alarms 02. Here, you see, you could still go back to the list. If you know how to edit, the property here can be changed using the keyboard. So if I know alarms 02, just edit, and it will be probably faster than looking for the variable into a long list. I go now to the threshold property, and here I can say that's distance temperature liquid to high. And by this way, I can build up my alarms in, let's say, I'm doing them one in this case. It's a manual alarms configuration because I'm building up them one by one. Of course, there are some other to speed up alarm creation. Okay, no time now to see them, but for instance, there are some tools here to, for instance, automatically generate some alarms based on the PLC tags or import-export. So you export alarms in CSV. Maybe you can make one or two of them just to know, just to see how they are. How the CSV file is built, it's made, and then import back. For the moment, we have enough. I would like now to open. I would like to include in a screen, in a second screen. Let me change here the screen name. For me, this is the alarm page. And I would like to include in this alarm page a widget to say which alarms we have active, maybe in another screen, which is the historical list of alarms. Okay, so to display which alarms are active, I just have to go here in the in my list, go to objects. Into objects, I have alarm window. So it's a predefined object. I have to drag and drop the window on the screen. I can adapt the object to my page. And here on the right, I have all the properties needed to adjust the look and the functionality of my alarm window. And what I want to do is, first of all, I would like to remove the graphic buttons because it's easier to see what they do by looking to the name instead of the graphic. Okay, so we have two alarms, and okay, one of them alarm 1, the other one was alarm 2. Fine. Runtime, so we can check how the project works. So now the 2 bits, we go back to the watch window. We can add alarm 1 and alarm 2. Okay, both of them are false. I could force here, let's say, double click, I write 1. Now I get the alarm. I do the same from the PLC. That's my PLC programming software. See here alarm so 1, alarm so 2. I could force this one to true. Okay, I'm getting the second alarm there. So in the window, I see. I see what's the alarm description, some information. All of them can be customized related to the alarm. Now let's see when I put them false. Okay, so you see from the window the condition is off, so no alarms are working, but still they are blinking because they require acknowledge. So I can click on one of them and make acknowledge. So now the alarm has been recognized. I can do the same for the second. I could make the acknowledge of all of them. They are still there with no blinking because the default alarms management requires additional reset to clean the window. So we need now to make a reset to clear the alarm window. Of course, all those, let's say, behaviors can be changed because on how you would like to configure the alarms, you can change this behavior. Now, I am interested to know about the alarm history. What I just need to know, what I just need to do is to include in an additional screen, sorry, screen number 3. Okay, now this will be sorry. Okay, here I would like to include in this page an object to display log window opened with my alarms. Okay, now before configuring the window, I just would like to tell you a concept which is important. In a premium HMI, there are several, let's say, several features or maybe several functions which are supporting the recording, the storing. One of them is alarms. So if you click on the project icon here at the top, in the project properties, here you see historical log settings. By default, the recording of events log is enabled. So the system, by default, is logging alarms, logging communication protocols errors, and it is logging system events. Okay, we skip for a moment errors and systems, but the idea is that by default, alarms history is recorded. You may remember I told you that in Premium HMI we have two ways to store data. One, I told you, is called IMDb, so in-memory database, which is standard text file. The second is relational database. So, in this case, by default, this checkbox is unchecked. So it means that by default, the system will use the relational database, which is already predefined, preloaded, even into the HMI 30, HMI 40 devices. And the configuration of the database is basically automatic. So the user has nothing to do except, let's say, keeping the default. So just when this is unchecked, automatically the system will use in a transparent way built-in database for recording historical events. Okay, now if I go to my window, sorry, no, I was telling, I started to talk about alarms because I said in Premium HMI we can store events of different types. For one event we can record the alarms, so alarms can be recorded. But also we have data loggers and recipes. Data loggers is just sampling data according to time events, and recipes are standard recipes. The other information we can store is related to the audit trail when I spoke about the possibility to make a CFR 21 Part 11 applications. I told you you can configure the system to know who did what in which moment. So per each variable, you can enable the trace, and trace will record who did any change to this variable, will record the time, will record the previous value and the new value. So there are, at the end, alarms, recipe, cataloggers, and audit trail are the 4 different features that can support in Premium the record of history. And per each of them, you can decide if you want the relational database or the text file based on the IMDb internal system. So now, if we go back to our historical event window, this window could be used to display different types of events. You remember when I was here, enable log recording was enabled by default, and I told you we can record ARPs, diverse errors, system events. So the window can be used to display history, all of them. So if I click on the window, I can also decide. Now I'm interested to show only alarm messages. That should be enough. So go back to our runtime. Okay, now the history was already enabled, so the window is just showing what has been already registered. And then here you can see the different transitions of the alarm. Here we have one column missing. I can click here, column, and I say event ID. Missing one column. Maybe I don't need user, so I move away user. And then here you can say the alarm was on at this time, then it was reset, then it was acknowledged, then it was off, and so on. So within each line, you have the complete list of transitions of a certain alarm, of course divided by alarm. Here I have my first page, my alarm window, history. Okay, if you give me 5 minutes more, I would like to close by showing you, for instance, recipes. Catalogers, it's very, maybe you can do data logger, it's similar, the concept is very similar. So, we have a variable into the PLC, which is the variable increase, the one which is going up and down. I would like to make a trace, a record of the values. This. So for this, I need a data logger. So right-click, add new data logger. Data logger is an engine which is just storing the different values of a variable according to what? Well, here you can say according to time frequency. So if you expand the time settings, you can say every, 5 seconds. We put 1. We wanted a faster sampling rate. That's the configuration of the data logger engine. Now we have to tell to this data logger to sample the increase variable. So to go to, we can do right click, add new column. You can the same data logger to sample more than one variable, but if we want now only one, we can give a name, say increase variable. And then here on the property, variable property, which now we can clear and we go here below to select var increase. So that's the way we can tell to the data logger to sample var increase every 1 second. How long should it keep history? So how big should it be the buffer? Well, the buffer, in this case, 7 days, but it can be 100, it can be 1, depending on the space you need. So how long you want to keep the history. So the data logger just after what we have done. If we like see historical data, then we can go to another screen, data loggers. And here we have two possibilities. At the end, the data logger is a table. Table with, in this case, let's say 2 columns. One, the timestamp, second column, the value of the tag. How many lines? Well, depends from how long you keep the data logger running and how long you have made the buffer. So basically, at the end, the data logger is a table. So you could go here, toolbox, and take logger window. Data logger window, it's an object, predefined object, to show the contents of a data logger table. So you just have to go to the object, execution, and attach the object to the data logger. Automatically, the object will change the number of columns. Let's say we don't need user, so user, I will move it away. And then we have the timestamp, and the value of the variable in that moment. Second possibility, way. If you go to trend, then you have, for instance, horizontal trend. That's a graphical way to see the historical information about our data logger. So on the viewer, and same as before, moment, here I have, okay, you select the data logger, and when you confirm, automatically you get the trend window configuration according to how many variables or how many columns are present into the data logger. Good. If I go now to runtime, well, okay, now I have my increase. So let me use again the watch window var increase. Var increase now has this value. I can play with it. I can say, okay, 0. I can refresh the table. So you see all the values plus the new ones here. And the graph in the default settings for the trend window is with the automatic scaling. So automatically now the vertical scale is adapting to the var increase values. But now the system is running, is sampling. You have the graphical view. On the left, you have the view. Okay, last 2 minutes, and then I leave you running away. I would like to show you recipes, because the basic configuration for recipes, it's very easy. Everybody knows the concept of recipe, I guess. Recipe, it's like when you make bread, and then you have some ingredients, and let's say the ingredients are in a different quantity depending on which kind of bread you are making. So I would like to make a new recipe to make my I would like to make a recipe, and recipe has a different type of ingredients. Okay, here in the PLC project, I have already 3 variables, and it's ingredient 1 to make bread. Let's say I need, I don't know, water, I need some flour, I need some salt, I need something. Let's say I have 3 ingredients, and I would like to have a different set of them depending on the product I want. So, to configure the recipe, in this case, I will show you another way. I can just make a multiple selection, this, using the Control button, and drag and drop. Now I'm dragging the 3 ingredients above the recipe name, and that's enough to build up the recipe structure, the recipe schema. This operation has automatically done 2 things. Recipe is very similar to the data logger, as I told you. It's a table. In the case of data logger, the table is populated, so one line, one new line every second, every sample. In the case of the recipe, every new line is a different type of bread. So 1, 2, 3 different ingredients, and every line of the table is a different type of a different product. So let me go back, let me open another screen, let's say in 5. By the way, the recipe is already working like this. I don't need nothing else. I just need a visual object on my page to adjust and to manage the recipe. So I go into my toolbox, still into the objects for the recipe manager. Recipe manager is a predefined object, conceptually very similar to the alarm object. I remove the graphic button. Easy to understand what we are doing. That's an object which is ready, and you just need to connect the object. Okay, you have to connect the object to recipe. Now it is easier to see it's working rather than explaining. Let's go back runtime. We have 3 ingredients. Okay, the first column here, ingredient 1, ingredient 2, ingredient 3. Value. So let's make the first product. So product 1. The product 1, we need value, I don't know, we need 10 here. Oh, 10. This could be 12, and this could be 20. Save. Now I make the second product. So this is the list of products I have. Now I make the second. The second, I need, I don't know, 9. This could be 13, and this could be 30. Save. That's the way I have to build up recipes. If now I click back on product 1, you see 10, 12, 20, to the different set of values for my ingredients. I could copy, because I don't want to type all of them again. I make my third product, can paste the values, and maybe I can only change this one to 35, and this one to, I don't know, 15. Save. I built my products, and it's time to get them running on the PLC. So, we still use the watch. I would like to include in the watch ingredient 1, ingredient 2, and 3. Okay, so now all of them are 0, because there's nothing working in the PLC. If I select product 1, when I just click activate, values are updated into the PLC memory. We can also see them here. Ingredient 1, 2, 3. You have 10, 12, 20. Okay. Then I can make my first product. I can make product 3 now. And when I click activate, new values are updated into the controller. By running this product, I realize 15 is wrong, and then it must be 17, and this one must be, I don't know, 36. What I could do is to go back and make 3 modifiers. I can save, and I can read. Read is bringing values from the PLC to build up a new modified version, for instance, of product 3. So I just wanted to show you that if you need the basic functionalities regarding data logger and recipe, in the Premium HMI toolbox, there's already everything you need to build up a very simple and complete project. So basically, in let's say 1 hour, more or less, we built up a project with the standard objects, some animation, some basic controls. We built up, we have been configuring alarms, so we can see alarm events. We have recorded alarms and see how the historical alarm list can be displayed on the screen. We made also data loggers in tables and in graphics using the trend viewer. We made a recipe with the standard recipe tool. In one object, you have everything you need to manage for recipes. Okay, so I would stop here. Okay, we can continue. We can go ahead forever because, well, forever no, but Premium is really a lot of features. But what I wanted to transfer today is let's say, really the basic and the idea that for a basic project you really need, let's say, basic knowledge. But still, from this point, you have almost infinite possibilities to grow up to a complete scaled-up product.
Okay. So, thank you all for participating. If you have any questions, shoot now.
So there are still 10 participants, so probably all of them still alive, and hopefully it was useful. For we will share the recording
Yes.
because Luke did it. And okay, if you get any question, okay, besides this presentation, which was, I mean, probably for many of you, really the first one. But beside of this, then now, I mean, we can go ahead building up or scheduling or some other activities. Okay.
One question from UK coming up.
Okay.
Otherwise, I hope we will hear you all back on Friday for the Ubiquity webinar.
I think is writing, but I still don't see the message. Everybody's right. Okay, yeah, HMI premium, very different to create. Well, is the other HMI premium very different? Well, I say, to be really honest, from my previous experience, well, from the programming environment point of view, to be honest, there's no much